foremost listeners' participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon. What a terrific Thursday, and what a way to invite you to be a part of Talk Today as we opened it up for some open line right at the outset. Between now and 1 p.m., I want to hear directly from you as candidly, as constructively. It could even be positive, would be my preference, but if it has to be that you just got to get it off your true rest, as they say, well, I look at Susan and I smile. I think of what's outside and I'm excited. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. How does this sound to you? Well, let us know. Give us a shout. 1-800-534-8255 is the Flow toll-free line. Or 949-8037. If you want to send us a WhatsApp, record a voice note, however you wish, well, send it across. 925-3261, I think is the WhatsApp number. We'll see what's available there when you share. And we'll certainly want to be a part of what you're thinking. So what's on your mind? Well, a couple of things. As a good friend was sharing earlier, she said, listen, now, it's too late into January not to know more about, who's going to be in the fray. Well, when it comes to the political sort of mindset of many of us, some of us are always engaged. Now, a lot of initial sort of speculation has subsided. We're seeing a few declarations. What are you hearing? What are you thinking is going to happen? Is it that you just too busy and don't care? Is it that it's too early and too soon to tell? Well, share with us. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. As I look at the sort of proliferation of the traditional media in Cayman, and even, eventually get back in probably to what I call a one-eye monster to be hanging on our walls and the like. The fact that we have so much radio, I am and will probably always be, an enamored fan of Radio Cayman. And earlier, as DJ Lynn was playing, some of the songs, I was always thinking, wait a minute, that could be Aided behind the chair. Some of the songs he was playing sounded a lot like, what the late Ed Bush would play. I think this is what Radio Cayman is, not just about nostalgia, but about a hopeful expectation for a positive future. And this is what I want us to look at, but let's not dismiss the realities that are before us. As positive as we want to be, as optimistic as many of us, are, and certainly try to project. The realities, well, cost of living is still a challenge. The notion that for some, employment, not just, being unemployed, but the prospect of becoming unemployed, but currently being underemployed. Can you imagine, a person with significant skill sets, training, qualification, experience, and expertise, but is relegated to working, in a job where they're making a fraction of what they could make, or they may be working in the industry in which they, have the requisite qualifications, skills, and experience, but for whatever reason, maybe because they're, a woman, maybe because they're on a work permit, but for some reason they're not being, paid accordingly, and then their colleagues across the aisle getting paid a whole lot more. Well, is that the sense of fairness, the equitable treatment that we want to see for our people going forward? Well, if the country is going to be a beacon, if it's going to be the land of hope and opportunity, then we need to make sure that we address these inequities that exist in our system. and sometimes the injustices that are rampant, or at least alleged. 949-837, 1-800-534-8255. Monday evening, as I listened to our very own, Joel Wilson, sort of pay tribute to maybe, one of the greatest figures of the 20th century, or perhaps one of the greatest people. And I'll exclude women for a second, so one of the greatest men, because there's some great women every day, from our mothers to our sisters and the like, our daughters and our mothers. One of the greatest men, right, that probably ever walked, so flesh and blood, Martin Luther King Jr., and to realize that, despite maybe some of his personal indiscretions as have been portrayed, sometimes not deliberately to malign him, but certainly, maybe it may have been the attempt. He seems to have struck a chord, that peace and unity, the notion that if we're not going to work together, hand in hand, that the injustices that one suffers because of color or ethnicity or gender or whatever, they're suffered by all. And until we, remove those barriers and look closely at the systems that inherently sort of prejudice, certain people, well, we will move forward. I think that's why many would look at Bob Marley's lyrics as prophetic. And, the one that always resonates with many of us. So not until, the color of a man's skin is no more important than the color of his eyes, there will be war. Well, this is probably going to be a tumultuous time. We saw last year, for many, what they've never experienced, would never have expected, and even the reference to the pandemic a century earlier may not necessarily have been the scene that was planned or prepared or somehow played out on the global stage. Let's go to the phones though. Hey, good afternoon, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon, man. You've been on my mind and I can't seem to find that number that you gave me to connect up to you, man. You change your number just as quick as some people change, other things.
I change my number every month.
So I'm told.
Government love me, so I have to change my number.
All right. Well, you got mine, so shout me up so I can even call you back.
No, I have. I will give Susan when I finish my call.
Good, and then what I'll do, I'll walk across the glass house and give it to the people over there so they don't have to worry about it. How about that?
Yeah. Don't give it to Isaac Miller.
I don't think he wants it, man.
Anyway, Dwayne, this is election again, and I think the people after this pandemic and the hard time, they face and they still face it, and the poor people who is hungry and suffering, and the people out of job, and result of this government, I don't know what they call it, unity government, whatever government you call it, but I call it disaster government. I think it is time for the people to change all those sitting in government, all of them.
All of them? All 19?
One of them.
Yeah.
Because they are showing a failure. For example, the talk show host, ex-talk show host, Austin Harris, fill this country talk until we tired listening to him. And then he get elected. The people give him a chance 4 years. What he did, he sleep in that government building for 4 years doing nothing. And then same thing, David White. He sit 4 years doing nothing. And the same thing, Barbara Connolly.
Is that...
years doing
If I may ask you though, I mean, whether they're the elected ones on that end, whether they're the ones that are elevated to cabinet, is that part of the failure of the system that perhaps without knowing exactly what you're going to face when you get in there and understanding that there's a lack of knowledge and information relative to governance, is that part of the challenge that when they get in there, they just have a steep learning curve?
Dwayne, all of them, they they get elected, they have manifesto, they say they want to do this, they want to do that, and the promises and lies and stories, and all these lies and stories, people are tired in this country listening to the same stories from 14 years from Izzat Miller.
Right. But as I listen to you, and I agree that we would want in every governance structure to have the most competent, credible, ethical, honorable, people there. But doesn't it then come back to those of us who are voting to do our, if I could borrow the terms that they use in the financial sector, or due diligence, to look at a person and say, may not be a nice person, but brings the right skill sets. May not be a bad person, or actually maybe a good person, but boy, really don't measure up. I mean, how, and in that vein, do we draw alongside to help, or do we say, you know what, you're elected, let's see what happens? You ever try to bail out a boat, by yourself? Even if it isn't a hole in it, even if it's not some serious seas coming over the gunwale, if you have a little help, it might not go any faster, but it mightn't be as tiresome.
Yeah, I mean, people are, unfortunately in Cayman, the voters is divided two type of voters. The elderly people who just like a remote control, they elected the same, all politicians, the same names all the time. And because they give turkey Christmas time, or they give
respectfully to you, I don't know that I would say that about our elderly. I think that just because they're fairly quiet publicly sometimes, I wouldn't be quick to say that they're not sure what's going on, or that the votes that they cast aren't from a very informed perspective. Now, it may be that for them, on a personal level, this person for whom they're voting is the person of choice because the person has been attentive, has been present and accounted for, and is the better choice of the two, or the best choice of if there are more, right? So maybe for the most part, I'm inclined to say that the elderly are a lot more astute, a lot more engaged than we give them credit.
Let me tell you one thing.
Of course.
I give you example. The elderly people are religious people, are people who is godly people, who we all respect them for being godly, and God bless this island because of those elderly people.
Right.
But those elderly people, they elected last time Izzat Miller in Northside. I'm asking those elderly people this time, you gonna elect somebody voted for gay marriage?
But is he the only one that supported that? And if the premise of fairness and a sense of just treatment for all, is that really the biggest issue that we're facing? I don't want to dismiss it, but is it the biggest issue, the most contentious issue of all?
Yeah, I mean, look at all of these sitting in government side, and they voted for gay marriage, and they say yes for gay marriage. Why somebody like Austin Harris will say yes for gay marriage? Why somebody like David White will say yes for gay marriage?
Well,
if Barbara Connolly, she says she's Christian, she will say, I am supporting gay marriage.
But remember, right? Remember that we are told, whether or not it's the truth or not, because some of us don't necessarily know, but we're told that scriptures remind us to love the sinner, hate the sin, right? But contrast gay marriage with the Port Project. Probably, a significant economic impact to the country in terms of the billions of dollars that may be expended. Perhaps the questions of ownership and control, perhaps the impact on the environment, the impact on the social fabric. So in that sense, we know, irrespective of what the cost may have been, we were very, very, often reminded that was going to be the single most costly project this country would ever see. Is that an issue that we've quick to forget? All right, I enjoyed chatting with you, man, because you're provocative, but when Susan takes out the whip, a tamarind switch, they, better go for the break. All right, we're going to take the break, take the call, and we'll come back. I'm Jed. Hey, thanks for sharing. Don't dismiss, what you share, but leave us the number. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you. For the record. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM from 7:30 to 9 a.m. for Cayman's new Straight Talk morning show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record. Brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. It's time to be part of the change. The Meals on Wheels Change for Change coin drive is seeking volunteers to raise much needed funds to support Meals on Wheels so they can provide meals to some of the most vulnerable members of our country, our seniors. Over 200 volunteers are needed. If you can hold a bucket, smile, and give a support sticker, you can volunteer. All ages are welcome. Youth groups, students, and companies can all pitch in to give back to the community in this important effort. Last year, the Meals on Wheels Change for Change coin drive had to be canceled due to the pandemic, but we did not stop providing nutritious hot meals to some of the most vulnerable members of our country, our seniors. Thanks for volunteers just like you. Join Cayman Islands Meals on Wheels, Davenport Development, and Radio Cayman in the fight to end senior hunger in the Cayman Islands. Volunteer today. Log on to www.mealsonwheels.ky or email volunteer@mealsonwheels.ky or call 769-1974 to volunteer today.
Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Open line until at least 1 p.m. And thereafter we have a chance to, talk to some of the prouder name recipients. Jamo will come into the studio with them and we get a chance to showcase and continue celebration of our people. Now it is open line. Let's go straight to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Afternoon, Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon, man. How you doing?
Been a while, you call you up.
Too long, I think. Too long.
Well, the first question I asked him, one time called to talk, sure, it was 2 minutes to talk, but nowadays, seems like people get on for 5 and 10 minutes, you can't get on. I mean, when I get on, I try to say what I got to say and get off so people get a chance, but anyway, that seems like I don't work anymore.
But when was that I limited you to 2 minutes?
No, that was from years ago.
No, my friend. Me?
No, I wouldn't say you. It might not have been you, but other talk show hosts.
Oh, no. But talk today while I was hosting it? Okay. I'm just making sure, because I got accused of making people talk and have their opinions.
I'm not accused of anything. I'm only saying.
No, I just see years ago. No, listen to me.
Including Lucetta, but anyway.
Yeah, but that's the problem, right? People don't allow people to talk. They just want them to take. Anyway, go right ahead, my friend. I'd like to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, and I want to talk about the vaccine situation.
Yeah.
I went to the hospital yesterday. Well, not really to get a vaccine. I just happened to be in that area and decided to go there. It was about 200 people in line. So I walked away because I want to travel in March. I need to go to deal with some issue I have in March. But so I then went home and I decided to message the health minister, doing Seymour, and ask a few questions. And I messaged him and I asked him, if I take this vaccine and I travel, do I have to quarantine when I return?
And he says, hey, he says, it's like, when do you want to travel? Depends on when you're going to travel, okay? So I then said, the answer should have been yes or no. That's what it should have been. Then I went on to say, then, that I want to travel in March and probably return in about 2 or 3 weeks. And then he says that depends on the most vulnerable. It should be at least 85%. Now, I don't know if he means that that's 85% of the Cayman population needs to be vaccinated, or if that's 85% of the world, or what's. I'm still not going to answer like how I need to understand it, you know. So I decided to go to Westgate Clinic this morning. So they had it down there. But I went with a stress-free mind. I don't make nothing stress me out. If I'm stressed out, I leave it. So I went over there and way down the back of the line, out by the town hall. It started raining. People were getting wet. And then one guy comes up and said, we're doing over 70 and over 60 first. Well, I'm almost 61.
So this is, this long line is for people waiting to get
the vaccine
the jug?
This morning,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
So I went up into the front line. He called me up, the people over 67 up to the front. But the over 60 line was, it must have had about, I would say, guesstimated, it started 40 people in it. So I was down to the back of that. And then they said we're doing from 9 to 12. Then I said, my watch was 10 o'clock. And then said, just stopping at 11 o'clock. And they were, what hurt me more than anything else, I'm in physical shape. I mean, I'm not sick, thank God, that I know about. And I'm in shape because I work out a lot. But I basically saw a Cayman guy that about 6 some years ago, and he's about 65. Probably more than I, probably about 68. I think that had a health issue. And, you know, he's just standing there, he's just standing up, and he had to walk away and go home because he couldn't take it. And, you know, I said to myself, you know, it was so disorganized.
Well, maybe in his case, you know.
People sitting down, over 70 in one line, over 60 in one line, and the rest, the frontline workers, whatever, in another line. And it was so disorganized. It wasn't funny. But I walked away too. I said, I ain't messing with this, you know. But I sent the premier a message on it too. Let me know what happened. And I sent a picture of people in line in the rain. You know, that's come on, you got to do better than that. And another thing need to happen around here too, they need to start looking after their indigenous Caymanians first. We come first in this country. We start to become number 2. I know number 2, you don't Cayman. Anywhere I go, I can be number 1 because I can open my mouth. You understand? And I'm not afraid of no ghosts because there's too much is happening and need more like me to stand up and say, look, let's stand up for Cayman. I don't mind foreigners. I don't mind nobody. As long as they stay in their place. But put me first. You understand? Put the over 60 and over 70 people first and have them sitting down. It's half the people didn't get a vaccine. But I went back on 11 o'clock to look around. Most people were gone.
So you're going to get it. You shopping around to make sure you get it.
Well, I was thinking about trying to get it so I can travel, but now that he can't tell me yes or no on travel. What should I take the vaccine and come back and quarantine? You know, this vaccine thing to me is a whole hoax anyway. You know, this whole COVID-19 thing is a hoax.
Why take it then?
That's what I'm saying.
No, but
the reason why I was going to take it because I want to travel.
So if somebody said to you, "Here's through a door," no, you know what? Let each man be persuaded according to his own. I leave it be. You do your thing, man. You do your thing.
Right. I mean, that's the way I see it. You know what I mean? If you can't, I thought that's one of the reasons why they were doing it, so people would be able to travel and see that they wouldn't pick it up again. You know what I mean? So that's why I was going to get it done. But right now, I'm just giving up on it altogether and traveling and everything for right now into the long lines. I can see it for maybe another 3 months till the line slack right off. And if I do decide to take it, then I heard the petition going around with people signing it that you know that they're trying to force some people that they got to do it because it's a communist thing. But human rights is there, and and if I don't get to travel in March like I plan to, I'm not going to take it, and I'm going to sign the petition. You understand? Because the way I look at life, God people are well protected. The Bible tells you that. Touch not my anointed, or do my people no harm, for the hands of the Almighty will be upon you. That's what I live by. I live by faith. I don't live by luck. I live by faith. Anyway, I mean, that's what I can tell you. But that's what actually what happened about this line. The lines need to be better, and for the over 60 and 70 people, they need to get them organized better. It's very bad.
Yeah,
it's very bad this morning. So let's make the public know what's going on. A lot of people think they can go and jump on a plane and travel. And I was telling some people out this morning, some expat people that live here, and the man says yes. I say yes. That's what they say. They say it's like depends on where you're going and this and that. So it's not like you can travel now, you know.
Interesting, yeah. Well,
so anyway,
yeah, man.
Take care, bro. Cool.
All the best, man. All the best. Yep, one of the most divisive, almost destructive things is to have a conversation about that. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. It's open line, and Susan's on the other end of the phone when you call. She's just in charge. We're going to quickly pause for a short break. When we come back, let's hear from you.
Kick off your Heroes Day weekend with the Cayman Islands Music Entertainment Association's 13th annual Music DJ Showcase at Coral Beach. 11 hours of entertainment featuring the Cayman Islands top spin masters with the likes of Atom Skills, Chuck Taylor, DJ Dominique, Mixmaster, and DJ Silver Fox. Going down Friday, January 22nd at Coral Beach, 3 p.m. until 2 a.m. It's 100% free.
Yes, 100% free access
to the public.
This is the rhythm of the night.
Spread your wings, feel the vibes, and feel alive. The Cayman Music and Entertainment Association Music DJ Showcase, Friday, January 22nd at Coral Beach from 3 p.m. until 2 a.m. Free entry all night long. This commercial was proudly sponsored by Radio Cayman.
Are you interested in a career in networking? Register now for UCCI's IT Academy. Students can earn their CompTIA A+ certification or take their studies to the next level with cybersecurity, CCNA, cyber ops classes, and much more. For more information, visit www.ucci.edu.ky/experience-it. Visit us at UCCI to register and pay by January 22nd. Classes start on January 25th.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. Let's go straight to our phones and give our callers priority. Good afternoon, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon, Mom. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. And I just and how about yourself? Because a long time and I was seeing you close up, you know.
You've been lucky.
Yeah, well, I seen you one time on the YouTube screen sitting back there, and I nearly wanted to write you a message, but I didn't.
Oh, my. Anytime.
Still a sweet boy, and I know you go back.
Anyway, thank you. I'm blessed, man. Thank God.
Yes. I'll take just a couple of minutes. Somebody said about 2 minutes, but anyway, I just like to answer that caller that just called about the situation with the vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm no expert, and I'm not going to say anything that I would feel like I'm incriminating or taking sides on anything. But for one first thing I would say, I'd like to thank the government and congratulate them on the way that they had been handling this pandemic thing for us, because otherwise we could have been, with a small population, pretty much wiped out if we had not taken things in hand. That's the first message. Secondly, I don't know if you're old enough, but I would doubt it because you're in the age of my son, and those things didn't happen to come around when I had my children. But when I was a little girl, I remember we had an outbreak of polio and other illnesses in Cayman, but it was in West Bay directly, I'm speaking of. And I remember that even if you were a person that was afraid of injections, and I thank God I was afraid of a camera, so my parents didn't get much childhood pictures of me, but I was not afraid of injections. And so they had people that come around to your home. They gave you injections, which was vaccinations, they said, for these illnesses that were, airborne. Nobody could tell you how they were coming, but they were coming and hitting homes and areas in the district. So you had for polio, you had for so many different things, and you had to have them. I have always heard that a vaccination is a preventative, but it's not necessary issue that would keep you from totally getting it. I had never believed in flu shots, and the reason was because my mother didn't believe in them. And a few years way back, because now she's deceased, but she was laying down for about at least nearly 10 years. Prior to that time, she had taken a flu shot just at random, just decided to take it. And I'll never forget, after dropping her from the Georgetown Hospital to her home and going home, it wasn't hours after when she called me and said, Lan, I think I made a mistake. I went and took this shot. I'm sure I'm down with the flu. But I rushed back to her, and she did get very ill, very ill. But she begged us to never again in life take or give her a flu shot. Well, we had never, and we thanked God every time flu season came around. We posted it, especially after she got bedridden and older, we posted a notice on her front doors and on her room door saying that if anyone had the cold or was feeling like they were getting it, please do not enter. Please do not go near her. And that was strict orders even to our caregivers. If they were coming down, we would give them time off or so that they wouldn't have to go to her to take care of that. So in my time now, I had never taken a flu shot until year before last. And I took one in the month of October. My mother was actually admitted in the hospital at the time, and I took it. And she had a lot of other elderly friends who were in there. And, as usual, Caymanians from the area that we come up from are caring people. Caymankind didn't just start with giving it to foreigners. Caymanians cared for each other. And so I went in and visited quite a few of these people. I took the flu shot, and honestly, I had a flu in 2019 from October that really nearly lasted until January ending, because I was then having a birthday in February, and I was not sure if I was going to have to cancel the plans that we had, me and my sister's girlfriends. I mean, I have a party every year that's just for girlfriends, and then every year, then we have a party for my family after that party.
Yes, ma'am.
So anyway, it brought it, and it's coming up soon, Dwayne. It's right around the corner, first day of February.
Yep.
And I'm turning a big, big number. I wouldn't tell you yet, but it's a big number.
Yeah. I know. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Mom. All right. Another call, Miss Susan? All right. Appreciate it. Let's go to the line. Good afternoon, and thanks for calling. All right. Yeah. Hello? Okay.
Sure. But thank God I didn't really get anything with it, and I was scared. But this shot that I think they're giving, they think the caller is calling about going in, coming back. I think when the minister must have told him, well, he wasn't sure if he would have the quarantine. But remember, they're estimating to open the borders around March. So if you're going to probably travel within the times that the borders are going to open, I'm sure they're going to cut down on at least some of the quarantine time. That's my opinion, and so that's the only why I'm trying to clarify there. People can't just expect them to give you a straight-on, one-on-one answer when they don't know yet and they don't want to jeopardize themselves. After all, they're the people in power or in charge. So my opinion is on that. You need to take the shot to travel, then take it, because it's not going to guarantee that you can't get it. It may be that your immune system is weak, because when we get a flu, that is sometimes what it is. We need to build ourselves up, get ready for whatever, take the flu shot, and everybody has to wait out, because I haven't had mine yet. But same thing, because I'm busy, and when I go, it's always a line too. But I think that Caymanians need to say, like how it was forced on us in the olden times when polio and all them things were around, we need to say, we don't need to have it forced on us now. We're going to take it because it's a preventative. Thank you very much, Sterling.
Thanks, Mom.
And
thank you.
God bless you.
Blessings. Amen. Amen. Blessings indeed. Well, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Up and down, in and out, all around. Always something going down. Give us a shout and share with us if you want. We're going to talk after the news. We got a chance to talk with a number of those who have been, recognized as part of the them, celebration as it is. And I'm hoping that James John Momiles will be accompanying the three young people. Now, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. we wonder sometimes where we are. We wonder, what is it that we're doing and what impact it may have. And like many things, you don't know necessarily the consequence until way down the road. And I guess that's why we're reminded to sow good seed. Well, like the tree, if you don't, take good care of it, then you can't expect to reap the harvest, benefit from the fruit. But what does it say, if you don't plant it in good soil, then what would you reap? Well, 949-837, 1-800-534-8255. I wonder if it's possible today to hear, before we go to the news break, from a first-time caller. That would be very interesting, We get a number of messages, sometimes the time for even now, from people who used to be connected to Cayman, who may be, listening in a distant land. We hear at times, from those who listen frequently but rarely will call and share their thoughts with us. Well, it would be nice, to know that, as we in our canoe paddling, that we're not necessarily alone. And some of the challenges that lie ahead isn't unknown to others. We may not necessarily know exactly the solution to the problems before us, but at least if we recognize there's a challenge or problem, we might be willing to figure out, at the very least, that we need to do something about it. But many times, we ignore the problem and just hope it goes away. Well, chances are it'll only fester and get worse. 8949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. You ever feel almost pressed, like you got this calling upon you to share, and for unknown reasons you're reticent, for suspected consequences you're hesitant, and even sometimes after calculated analysis you probably conclude that it would be better, not to engage in that level of banter just yet. Well, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. We'll take a quick call, hopefully before the news break, and after that we get a chance to speak with some of the Proud of Them nominees, awardees, and when we get to that point, we'll see how that shapes up for us. It's all about participation and communication. It's all about sharing and giving, and not so much just about the taking. But there are many who are on one side or the other and always believe that, better to give than receive. So they're the happy recipients who are just all too willing to take, even if they know it's the last. Not just take to share, or take to hold. They'd rather see it spoil than for it to be shared. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can always WhatsApp 925-3261. And during the last break, I was trying to, as we talked, to reflect on some comments that came through, which were not necessarily, for, as one of the two comments said, for public consumption and dissemination. But sometimes it should be more than just for your personal edification. Let's go to the news. When we come back, more Talk Today.
On Friday's CI Retro Talk Today at 12:15 p.m., our Heroes Day edition, celebrating our seafarers. We'll give you a narrative snapshot of their dangerous, challenging, adventurous, and rewarding journeys all over the world's oceans. That's Friday at 12:15 on Radio Cayman.
We give you honor and praise, adoration and glory.
Radio Cayman.
Praise time.
Praise Him, praise Him. Come and let's praise the Lord. Come and let's praise the Lord. Praise Him in the morning and in the evening. Oh, let's praise the Lord.
Praise Time in the morning.
Praise him, praise him.
Weekdays 6 to 6:30 a.m.
Radio Cayman, waking you up.
Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite. Rock my soul in the blues of my favorite.
Praise Time.
I know he cares. He'll always be there. Oh, yeah. Praise him, praise him, praise him.
Praise Time.
Set your clock for 6 a.m. or you will miss it. Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Let's spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The main entrance of the Cayman Islands Hospital will be closed on Sunday, January 24th and Monday, January 25th to facilitate the removal and replacement of the entrance's canopy and other structural upgrades. During this 2-day period, patients, including those visiting the pharmacy, dialysis unit, and specialist clinic in the hospital's atrium, will be directed to use the MRI entrance close to accident and emergency on the side of the building. In international news, at least 32 people have been killed and 100 others injured in a twin suicide bombing in a busy commercial area in Iraq's capital, Baghdad, officials say. The last deadly suicide attack in the city was in January 2018. Hungary has become the first country in the European Union to give preliminary approval to the Russian coronavirus vaccine Sputnik V. Early results from trials of the Sputnik vaccine have shown promising results. Scientists are using pictures from an Earth observation satellite orbiting 372 miles above the planet's surface to count African elephants from space. The breakthrough could allow up to 5,000 square kilometers of elephant habitat to be surveyed on a single cloud-free day. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
The information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Your voice, your choice, your radio.
CUC is going virtual. We have the same awesome team ready to provide you with excellent service.
We managed to implement technology right before the lockdown that allowed our reps to work from home and still deliver that exact same level of service.
Our priority will always be to provide our customers with the high quality of service to which you've grown accustomed. Visit our website at www.cuc-cayman.com or reach out to us at service@cuc.ky. We are here to serve you.
That thing we've been saying for 64 years, ignore it. Eat the KFC wings, drink the KFC gravy, fill up on fries. Just please forget the thing we normally suggest. You know, that thing you used to do with your tongue after finishing a delicious piece of our KFC chicken. We get it. It's not easy. There's a reason why it's been our slogan for over half a century. But the world's drastically changed of late, and as soon as we can embrace the change, the sooner we can all get back to doing what we do best. KFC. It's good.
It is truly important to our country that the voices of all the people in the Cayman Islands are heard on Election Day. Your vote counts. So on May 26, exercise your democratic right and vote. A public service announcement from your #1 community station, Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And we'd always wanted to have the chance to highlight and showcase the wonderful people that we have in our country, and especially our younger people. So all of us under 70, and sometimes under 80, under 90, under 100, all of us young people, right? Well, if you would tune in and be attentive as we talk about the proud of them, honorees we have in the studio, two wonderful, of the 14, I think it is this year. Yes. So we managed to get it. So we got, Miss Leah Robinson together with Miss Jolene Scott. Ladies, thanks so much, and publicly, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right. If we could, if it's okay, and hopefully we'll have one or two more, maybe 50 more join us, I reckon, a little bit. We'll see. While we start our discussion, would it be okay to ask you, as comfortable as you are, as much as you feel late to share, brief intro, bio, share something about yourself? Miss Leah, you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Leah Robinson. I'm 18. I attend the University College of the Cayman Islands, and I'm an honoree. Very proud of them.
Miss Scott.
Yes, my name is...
All right, pull that. Sorry, let's not do your disservice. Grab that mic, pull it, pretend it was a fishing line. No, just grab it here and bring it closer to you.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Hello, listeners. My name is Jolene Scott. I am 20 years old, and I'm currently pursuing my bachelor's in human resource management. And I am a proud of them honoree for the academic section.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Sterling Dwayne Banks. I'm from Wetness. No, they say laughter is the best medicine. Many of us deflect our nervousness and our, seriousness by laughing and being jovial. But it's such a pleasure to sit and chat with you, and not just become acquainted, but to be reminded of the wonderful people that we have in our country. This weekend we'll celebrate our seafarers, probably, in that I include their mothers and their wives and their daughters and their sisters, the women, not just the men.
Yeah.
But we celebrate that heritage, that history, that service, that sacrifice. And here we are talking to, on the other spectrum, as they would say, the young and up and coming, where the future is going to be so positive, so productive.
Yeah.
Right, Ms. Scott?
Yes.
All right. If I could then, in asking these sort of nominations, there's a process, and for some of us, we're a little bit, I don't want nobody to know about why I do. I do it for me. And then you get there and you realize, it's a good thing. You feel proud of yourself, as much pride you may have had before, your parents, your family, your co-workers, your classmates, the whole community. So, well deserved. Then it inspires other people.
Yeah.
All that aside, how does it make you feel?
Oh, well, I'll go first.
Yes, please.
It definitely makes me feel a sense of honor and pride, as we have reiterated here today. But also, most importantly, a sense of motivation.
Yeah.
And that is to keep going, despite whatever may come, and always try to be better than the day before. And I think the proud of them, the entire initiative, to be quite concise, is a great way to inspire the honorees, as well as aspiring young Caymanians who are definitely putting in that sacrifice day in and day out to make sure that they make their friends, their families, but most importantly themselves very proud.
Very proud. Yeah, that's it. Something to live up to. Leah, what about you?
I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity. I mean, my face is on a billboard. Yes. It's just such an amazing initiative. I mean, family, friends coming together and, supporting you and motivating you. And it's just an amazing opportunity. I'm extremely grateful.
As I look at it, we're seeing literally the changing face of Cayman, and we're watching. And hopefully, as we look at it, both from the social policy perspective, from the public policy, from the impact on everything, hey, this is what Cayman is and what it could be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe through this, we build a stronger sense of unity. Celebrate our differences in a loving, laughing manner, and come together and just be, a united community, man.
Yeah, a united community.
It motivates us. I like
Yes.
what you shared.
Yes.
But with that, though, and the process, now, it is, as you shared, inspiring as you aspire for great things. It's motivating. It gives you sort of another little thing, and not just, that person, the teacher, the parent, whoever it is, reminding you, nudging you. Now you have this thing that says, hey, I got to make sure I try my best all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Perfect.
Yes.
With that, going forward, I mean, you're doing your master's in HR. You're still young. I mean, I was 21 once, maybe 4 years ago. What do you want to see, if I could ask you? Not just in 4 years from now, but 40 years from now even. Maybe January, February, okay, let's say 4 months from now. Following the election, I mean, whatever it is, what is it, and I'll ask Ms. Leah if you're comfortable with it as well, what is it you want to see for yourself, and what do you want to see for our country?
Okay.
Which one do you want to go first? Yeah,
you can go first.
Okay.
Well, first and foremost, for myself, I'd like to see a lot more of the young Caymanians on radio shows, being the face of, whether it be on the TVs, on the radios, just giving their thoughts on what they want to see better on their island, like what we're doing right now. That's really what I think we need to infuse a lot of effort into, is giving the young people that chance to become vocal and to express themselves. Because, when young people do feel they're a part of something or a part of a decision making, definitely it encourages them to not only be better for themselves, but it also lights that path for all of the upcoming young Caymanians as well. And I think that's very important, and this is why initiatives like the Proud of Them are a really important aspect of the Cayman society, to definitely bring up our youth, because they are, believe it or not, our future. Because when all the pardon me, that's the wrong word.
I'm thinking them too.
It's still something to get used to. But definitely when the older generation is gone, we need to have someone to take that mantle and continue. And that is something that we need to train up our young people in the right way, so that they too can become a light bearer for the Cayman Islands.
And I feel like this program as well allows you to be aware of all of the other programs that are going on, because when you see like in our bios and the booklets, you would see like Jelani is a part of the debating thing. You'd see the different programs, the different activities that are there, and I feel like that's important for our youth to know about that.
Thank you for that. I was considering at what point to ask, and if I may, have license. There is a constant, almost an incessant complaint in this country that there's nothing to do. And for those of us who are involved, that active parent who bunks in not just her child from A to B, but in the neighborhood as well, right? There's a lot, and you're exhausted. So there's a lot going on. The students like yourselves who are engaged in a lot, there's a lot going on. Is it then that we're not doing a good enough job of promoting, making people aware that, in the course of the day, you got 24 hours and you got 45 activities. So is that a challenge?
I feel like that really is a challenge. I feel like we really need to make these different activities and programs be known.
I'm 50-50 on it. Definitely. I feel like there is a lot of publicity in terms of the initiatives that is there.
Just put it closer. There you go.
Sorry about that.
No, that's our... Susan wants you to be perfect. Hold on. Justin, there. Is that good, Susan? She thinks so.
Okay.
Try it again, Ms. Scott.
Okay, so it's a 50-50 for me. I definitely agree with you. I feel that there could be some improvement with the way in which we publicize those things, but I think there's not enough of internal references to these programs and initiatives. Thank you, Leah. I think definitely we know about it, but it's not pushed or made mandated to take that mantle and go.
Sorry, Ms.
But what's funny is that this whole discussion is what we're debating on for Parliament this year.
Okay, Youth Parliament?
Youth Parliament this year. For opposition, that's our motion. Basically, having awareness of what's going on in Cayman.
Perfect. And again, because, you're 18, you're 20, so legally you're adults, right? Even with that, I won't take license, so to speak. So anything I ask or say, you'd feel comfortable whether you wish to respond or not. But given the obvious intellect that you both have and the obvious interest that you have and insight, I wonder sometimes, as you shared earlier, Joe, Scott, the notion that in our society, we don't only fail at times to maybe not promote, but we don't invite and include so many people, and then the importance of us now taking up the mantle at some point, train up the child in which he should go, when he's old, even out the part, right? We say it, but we don't really mean it. I couldn't ask then, is there either inherently or inadvertently a bias in... Should I finish the question? You want to jump in?
No, you can go ahead and finish it.
in including, right, us, whoever we are, maybe it's because of the school, maybe it's the district we're from, maybe it's ethnicity, economics, environmental factors, whatever it is. Some of us don't get invited to the table, aren't aware that, wait a minute, you mean there was a buffet? I only had an order from the menu? Wait, You follow me?
Yes. Yes.
You want to jump in and help me out here?
Definitely. And it's nothing to sugarcoat. And I know this radio came on and we talk real.
There you go, yeah.
You know, and it's to be honest, you know, and to realize our shortcomings and our failures and how best we can somehow make solutions to kind of dissolve the bias, like what you would say. I do believe there is some bias.
Chemistry major, boy. Solutions dissolve.
Yeah, I do believe there is some bias, definitely with who is brought to the table from who isn't. And definitely if we come to grips with that, understand it, with that actualization, then definitely we can then start to put certain implementations so that we can somehow, you know, solve that. But to be completely real with you and the listeners on today, there is some form of bias in terms of who comes to the table, who gets to the table, and who isn't.
And even who's made aware that there's a table.
There you go.
Leah, what do you think?
I feel like in most cases, for me, personally, it's right place, right time. Sometimes I'm talking to someone, they say, you know, tomorrow we're having such and such and such, would you like to come? I feel like it's, I don't want to.
Hey, as I said at the outset, only if you're comfortable with what you want to share.
So for me, I feel like it's basically right place, right time. It's
the diplomacy. We say the parliament debate. All right, and we're gonna go to the phones in a second, right? So I use the headsets to keep my hair in place. I don't want you guys to mess up your hair, but the headsets are there for your comfort and convenience, so we can hear the caller as the contribution is made. And I may come back and ask you something else. But let's just go to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. In our studio, as we have the good, conversation with Mr. Joellen Scott, Mr. Leah Robinson, two of the Proud of Them honorees. I think it was the proper phrase. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
How are you today, Mom?
I am very well.
Ah, it's good to hear.
As the conversation included a content about, well, I'm just here with you, so I'm not really up on speed with what the depth of your conversation is.
We're just getting started now, man. You wait.
But when we talk about we're not invited to the table, let me see. Caymanians, I'm talking about Caymanians, and generational Caymanians need to be bold. We need to create our own garden parties. You remember Grant telling about garden parties if you're from a certain place? Create your own table, and if you have to have a garden party instead of a fete, then do that. Garden party is much more your heritage and tradition than is a fete. We need to create our own table, and until we do, it's not going to get any better because we are sorely, severely outnumbered in this country. It's a plan, it's a plot, it's a ploy, and it was allowed to happen, so it has happened, and I don't want my country to go the way of America, so we're going to have to, find another way, and another way is not to, at this point in time, I believe, young lady, not to have feelings about being invited to a table. You sound young. You sound very, very much informed, etc., etc. You young people, create your own table. This is your country. Create your own table. Don't be shy. Create your own table, and when you create your own table, then just like how everybody else does it, you then say who is invited to your table. And there you set your table, and you set your table for your country.
But as I hear you, though, if I could ask of you respect for that, I mean, and I agree that sometimes we need to, do our thing, right? But especially our youth, do we not, as I don't want to say the elderly, right? The older heads, but as
I'm elderly, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of it.
No. Do we not only need to make them, feel empowered and have a sense of ownership, as Ms. Scott was sharing earlier, so they can create a table, but do we need to not only draw alongside them, but somehow clear the path to help them to set that table?
Of course. But you see me now, from my own perspective.
Uh-huh.
I am old, I am tired, and I'm overwhelmed. So I not can get it done for him. I can call him and say, baby, what are you doing today? You know, get up, go. Don't feel disappointed. Get up and get in the race again, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to be out there. And it is obvious that the most of people my age don't think that way. So we wouldn't even know what to do to help them out. And let's talk about the other side of the coin now.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of young people, young Caymanians, who don't want anything to do with the elderly. But as you all are my children, I hate to see you suffer. I hate to hear of your sufferation, and I hate to have to admit that the sufferation is real. As they say, as the struggle is real. It's real. But you know, begin to think that you can create your own. You all can create your own. It's not that many of you, but it's enough of you. You all are educated, you are young, and you have what I don't have. And that is not talking about money. That's not talking about education. That is all. You have the thing you call time on your clock.
All right.
You can get it done. So don't worry about nobody else's table. Begin to create your. They don't want you at their table. You create your own. You know what your needs are. You know what your wants are. And, you know, even if you don't know how to get something done today, endeavor to learn. And you learn, and tomorrow will be your day. Don't worry about getting their table. Anyway, bye, guys.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that. And in the studio now, we have the excellent company of James Jambo Miles. So,
yeah, sorry about being late.
No, I listen, I appreciate your driver taking you back from the airport. You know, he was on his Good afternoon.
Actually, I just checked in because I'm heading to the Brack this afternoon.
Yeah, man.
We're unveiling the new billboards in Cayman Brack tomorrow. So,
I'm glad, you know, I've said this to you once or twice, you know, publicly, but probably not enough, you know. You and the team at the YSU in particular, the amount of work that you put in relative to our young people, it's not just, you know, laudable. It's something that I hope more of us would draw alongside and partner to make it even.
Well, I thank God every day for the strength to do it. And as
brother.
long as He give me strength and a heartbeat, also I'll be on the grind.
What's the song? Lord, give me to face.
Yeah, and I ain't no singing there. You're on your own with that one.
Hey, you know how quietly I did that? There's a note up in the bathroom and no singing in the shower. but I do that because as I look at, you know, both Joellen and Leah, I mean, we would added confidence and a sense of conviction, and I even agree to call for community. And, you know, you may not have heard the diplomatic approach, you know, Miss Leah.
I would listen on the radio, man.
Right? And she, you know, but that's a sense of...
That come with the parliament training, innit? She's a youth parliamentarian, man, so she already got the tact and the diplomacy.
Since you're here, right? Since you're here, yes. if it's okay, and as I said to all of our guests, especially our young ones our younger ones that never want to offend in any which way, certainly not even inadvertently, right? But the unwillingness sometimes of our people to be direct, be forthright, to be straight up. You know, some of us grew up with the notion straight talk, bring no fallout. It's only then we realize how much
fallout it causes.
But is that part of the challenge that we're facing? This is why, and I say that on the same tone, we recognize this is why I think having these billboards, having these, you know, opportunities, we don't need to see only the negative. We can see the positive, but can we still encourage the positive in the forthrightness, in the direct, deliberate, you know, discussions about, you know what, this is an issue. Whether it's a table that nobody knows exists, or it's as some have shared, you know, they got a gift for you, but it's behind their back. And if you don't know they got it, no ask for it, it's not yours. As opposed to saying, hey, let me clear the path here. This is yours. Man, I've been beating them to get it to you. Jambo, we won't get any better unless we work together.
Exactly. And I'm grateful for the partnerships that the Youth Services Unit has built and maintained over the years. And the real support that we get from the ministry. Almost every idea is taken forward, and we don't have a monopoly on all the great ideas, but we get a lot of feedback from young people, get a lot of direction from young people on what to do, and the impact is felt amongst the youth population.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to continue to happen. There's a lot of non-profits that are being established now that can help the government build a stronger society. So with all the MPOs and the new MPO law, that kind of helps people focus their attention on strengthening our community. We should be in a better position. Proud of Them initiative was just one way of highlighting who the champions you can choose from. It's over 130 of them now, since we started back in 2013 putting up the very first billboards. It has been a challenge just getting it going. I mean, we had talks for about nearly 2 years before we got the boards up. We had some struggles, and if it wasn't for Deputy Chief Officer Joel Francis, I don't think Proud would have made it off the ground. But with that push from the ministry rallying around the National Youth Commission at the time, we managed to get billboards up. We only just getting billboards in the BRAC now, but I thank all the authorities there for seeing the value in having the billboards there, a way of helping young people help themselves and to motivate other their peers. And I think it's just going to fly from here on out. Proud is now in a position to thrive. We have so much alumni already that we're looking to start an alumni for Proud, where the alumni can rally around the whole program and probably register itself as a non-profit just to keep this stream of positive narrative going forward.
It is, when we look at what we have before us and when we look at the promise of, the potential. Thank you, Ms. Susan. I don't know. Maybe I should have something else later on. No, it's amazing sometimes. You don't talk enough, then it bothers you. You talk too much, it bothers you. So the balance. But Jambo, we're gonna take a break shortly, and you have a flight to catch. We've reserved the hour for us, as I say that.
They
outside.
can manage, man.
Yeah,
they're good, man. I would listen to them, and I'm like, whoa.
You're amazing, no? You're amazing. And
they don't need me.
I won't impose on their time, and I certainly won't keep them hostage, but I certainly don't want them to rush. We got a few minutes. You guys want to share some more with us? Is that fine? Or you?
Well, I just want to let everybody know that you can check out all of their videos on CIG TV and on social media platforms at #KaymansYouth. And if all that fails, you can check out youthservices.ky. All of their information, their bios, and their videos are up for the 2020 and 2021 honorees.
Wow, 21.
Yeah, that's it. They're there, so we're putting them out there.
No, again, I know you get back to other stuff, but the time is yours. Publicly and respectfully. You want to continue, we can create some political uproar. We can get into some social banter. I mean, Ms. Robinson, what do you want? Ms. Scott?
Yeah, we can continue.
We can continue. Jambo, you help with that?
Good, I got 5 minutes.
Okay.
I sit quietly like on church mouse.
There you go. Can't promise you the same. All right, let's pause quickly and take a short break. When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. I'm truly proud of the country and its people. So stay tuned.
Maintaining a strong mind and body through sports and general healthy living is a good course of action. But what about your spiritual man, your inner man? He has to be awakened, fed, exercised, strengthened, and led according to the will of God. So, have you heard the call? I'm Evangelist Brother Joseph Joey Ebanks, and I'm inviting you to worship Wednesday and Thursday nights at 7:30. We are bringing the Word of God to our communities as Jesus commanded. Faith comes by hearing. So come and hear. Bring your own chair or simply park and listen to the Word of God from your vehicle, covering the Cayman Islands with the Word of God, one community at a time.
Have you heard the call? We'll be at 69 Rockhole Road, Georgetown, Eddie Solomon Residence, January 20th and 21st at 7:30 p.m.
Radio Cayman News.
I know there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I think this is as good a chance to get our borders back open.
We're going to have to open up at some point, and that is why it's so important that we have done everything possible to protect ourselves and our families.
Use of the vaccine is not mandatory.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
On Friday's CI Retro Talk today at 12:15 p.m., our Heroes Day edition, celebrating our seafarers. We'll give you a narrative snapshot of their dangerous, challenging, adventurous, and rewarding journeys all over the world's oceans. That's Friday at 12:15 on Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us here in this edition of Talk Today as we get a chance to not just, talk about the proud of them, honorees, but to focus on our young people and to recognize the positive energy, the optimism, and the great promise and potential that lies ahead for us. So, we have both Ms. Jolene Scott together with Leah Robinson as our guests. And as two of the 14 this year, it's inspiring.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal? Oh, what you say, man? Jamo was here earlier and he's gone. He's a big deal. But we're going to celebrate this weekend in many respects. And I think hopefully in that celebration we start to appreciate that, for me, it's instruction that comes from the scripture. Not that I understand it, but that I recognize it. Hopefully will be willing to abide by it. To whom much is given,
much is required.
Much is required. And people fail to appreciate that. If I sit down here with a big plate of turtle meat and eat it all myself, I might enjoy it. But if I share a little bit with you and with you and with you, we might not get a better full, but we'll have enough sustenance that maybe tomorrow we can build something even better, right?
Yeah.
So with that, is that part of the challenge then that we're facing as a society? Us as the older ones forgetting the service and sacrifice of those that went before us to lay the path and foundation for those that are coming after, so that we make sure we build together. Ms. Robinson, what do you think?
I think, as Mr. Jama was talking about from 2013, they started the whole Part of Them initiative. And I remember growing up, 2013, I think I was just starting high school. And I saw the billboards and I was like, one day, that's something that I want to do. So I feel like that was the whole point of the initiative, to get people aware and get the younger generation, wanting to get up there, wanting to work hard to do that.
I want to ask you, you say you saw it and it inspired you. Did it do the same for you, Ms. Scott?
Yeah, it did. Definitely an inspiring initiative. Something that I'm like, I want to be up there one day.
And I remember seeing like some of the older kids that were in my school, up there, and I was like, that. I remember last year I saw Shakur, and that Shakur up there, I want to do that too,
Why do you think then? Well, no. Why did that inspire you? You saw it, the first billboards, and all billboards ever since, and you see it, these are classmates, some older, and it put a little.
It made me want to research, want to see why exactly is he up there, and then when I went, did a little digging and found out, through community service and academics, it then made me want to, what community service did he do? What academics did he do? Like it made me want to research and find out what exactly is he doing to, get rewarded like this. And
I fully. Would appreciate that would be the motivation behind the one, Miss Susan, we'll get it fixed by tomorrow. Today, I don't know what it is, man. No. But you can bring me some teeth, Neskin. I would even go further and make a joke about the government, someone that hear this and say, listen, talk to that young man. No, it's word to the wise, certain foods irritate your vocals.
Yeah.
Certain things you should eat and don't. But the notion that it will inspire some of us, as I think it will, and then quickly, and it's not exhaustive list, asked a couple of people who I knew were asked to be nominated and refused, and even one or two that I said, hey, I don't know you well, I know your dad because we went to school, I know your mother, but you were like phenomenal, could we, oh no, and it wasn't that the boys said no, or the girls said no. Boy and girl, male and female, both said no. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. So for some people, I don't want to picture up. No.
Or for some people, they feel like they prefer to do things and not want people to know about
it.
Yeah. Because not everyone's going to be happy for you.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to congratulate you.
Yeah.
So maybe they have that notion in the back of their head.
Or it could also be on the flip coin of stuff that they just don't like their achievements to be publicized.
Yeah.
They would rather achieve in the background, ensure that themselves know and their families know, but at the same time they're a bit hesitant to put it out in the public.
Yeah.
Whatever reason it may be, but it could just be a personality, you know.
And everyone's different too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I see you guys are, incredibly intelligent. I can sense that, and I appreciate it. So I came away with the conclusion, some of us are more, we're shy and bashful, And then I started to drill down, well, is there a difference in sort of the genealogy, as it were, right? And I've been looking at it, and I've seen a couple of things. I thought, not in enough of a large sample size, but I started to draw some inferences. And if I was a social scientist, I probably would do the research, but something is indicative. So my conclusion is that every child in every class, irrespective of the teacher, we need to encourage, nurture, and then support them so that they appreciate that they too are capable of great things. Brings me back to the bias in the table, right? See that narrative was scripted there? Because I think that's what is happening, perhaps, hopefully not deliberately, unconsciously. That child is just very boisterous and vocal. Come, you could be a talk show host. Hey, Mr. Austin. I'm just kidding. This one is shy, she's whatever. And we play to that. Ms. Scott, what do you think?
I completely concur with you. Like I said, I'm a very blunt individual. I speak the truth.
There you go.
Unashamed. Yeah. That is something that I have seen and first-handedly in my experiences as well.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm speaking from a third-party point of view, but definitely something I have experienced myself. And one thing that I've learned from that is the person in the class that is the shyest, the person in the class who will refrain from even doing anything to do with school, outside of school, etc. Those are the students in particular that we must infuse a lot of encouragement towards. And I think that enough of that is not being done. And if it is done, it's just of recent times.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. That's my
thank you for that, man. Miss Leah, what about you? You want to add?
I feel like, there's some students like that who do just want to be laid back and don't necessarily want to do everything. But I feel like there's others who are doing stuff and just don't want to be necessarily publicized.
No, Miss Susan helped me out.
Oh.
No, but that's the thing, and I think it comes down to all that mix, but it's then back to the influence of the parent, the teacher, the coach, loosely, the adults, right, that are around our children.
That are in their corner,
Yeah, and say, hey, like, I tell people that I remember being very shy and reserved. You? Yeah. I'm a very, in my mind.
You?
Yeah, see? I'm a very quiet, I don't seek publicity. Doesn't mean that I'm unafraid to speak publicly. Doesn't mean I can tell you where to get off. I haven't learned yet sometimes how to hold my comments. I'm learning, right?
Yeah.
But the importance is that too much is given, much is required.
Yep.
You're now as a role model, not just for this cohort, as it were, but forever. Making your success and your accolades shine so that it inspires others, right? How then, if I may then ask again, how then do we get to a point looking at what is happening around the world? I'm not going to get on the side of whether you for this political party or that political party, but if you let's look at the U.S., it's almost 50-50, right? Back to your country divided, a nation divided, house divided can't stand. We come to Cayman, could it be any different? We're seeing the growing discord, the disharmony, the dissension, the division. What's next? Mrs. Robinson? You're the parliamentarian. Let me leave it as a rhetorical question for now. In the absence of a concerted effort to bring our people together, because we're talking, 198 different nationalities? We really don't know. I don't think we know. We say 135 in some places, we say less. Right? Personally, I love that because I can get a sample of the world without leaving my shores.
There's so much that you can learn, and etc. So much you can gain from that.
And I think if I were like some of my cousins, I'll be more prolific, right? But as I interact with people, there's such a blessing.
Yeah.
And this is a bounty of knowledge Doesn't mean that we agree, don't mean that we share the same things, but it's a chance to, interact.
Yeah.
There's another word I would use, but I'll leave that one for now.
If I may,
yes,
I think the first step is to just accept that not everyone is going to be the same as you.
Right.
Accept that there will be differences. And I think once that is fully accepted, and I say fully because we say we accept and we really don't. But once we fully accept that crucial point, that is the ingredient to the first step forward. And to truly mean that we fully accept the differences.
All right. What's the scripture? Don't let them despise you because of your youth, and it goes on other stuff. How many times, whether it's 18, 20, whether it's 40, 50, 60, there's always somebody that looks, you don't know what you're talking about, you're still young, right? And we've seen that. And yeah, you may be. Now, there is a flip side of that coin where you're brash, you're just, I don't want to say impetuous, but sometimes you think you know more than you know. Politicians are the perfect example, right? They got all the answers in the world until they don't. Is it then arrogance instead of confidence? Is it that there's not a sense of humility, and instead they're self-seeking, self-serving? Not they being politicians, what I mean, the others. Again, if it's not a proper discussion forum, we won't have it.
I think if we have an outlook on life that we are just living to get what we can get, and not necessarily taking into consideration that yes, we're here to get what we can get, but also the fact that we need to help our brothers and sisters along. I think, and again, I'm going to be blunt, that is what is happening. That is what is happening. Everyone is living to get their best out of life, forgetting that while you're living to get your best, you need to bring someone else up as well along your journey. It's not all about you. I come to the party, I'm going to eat all the food, I'm going to leave. And I think that is the point that I'm trying to bring across. That's where we go wrong.
We fail to appreciate that a rising tide floats all ships.
Yeah.
Right? It's about taking.
Yeah.
Not about enough giving. Is that it? Ms. Robinson? I
completely agree with her, yes. I feel like we really do need to help our brothers and sisters, assist them where necessary. And we also can learn from them also. They can help us as well. Yeah.
There is much to be said about diplomacy and tact. There's much to be said about the person who will maybe refrain from public commentary, right? And I'm reminded of the words of Churchill at one point. Maybe I'll come back to that, talking about silent, men and so on, and the reason for that. But is it then that for those of us who speak up, the young, bold, courageous people, say like, Miss Scott here, or older people, whether they're hosting talk shows, whether they're writing pieces in as opinion pieces, or whether they're politicians, or they might be playing on a sports team and they're really challenging and championing certain things. Is it that those people tend to get the short end of the stick? We beat them up. She laughs. Only if you wish, Miss Scott. But Miss Robinson, let's hear from you first. What do you think? I mean, those who speak out, you pop your head up and bop down the beat. No? Okay.
I don't think so.
No, the diplomat, we'll come back to that. Listen, you guys are incredible, right? And I appreciate your, can I use it? I try to use it. My children might like it. Your call out that more opportunity need to be afforded to young people to have a platform. I recognize that the timing of this show proves a challenge sometimes because of school and the like, but it's also a challenge when many times they refuse to, accept the invitation because of the fallout that they perceive not only from their peers, but from us now, the prospective employer. The grief the parents going to get because your child won that show, you know what she said, and we carry on in such a way to make it difficult. Instead of guide and say, well, you said, John was really,
and this is how we should. This is how you should. Yeah, I feel like that's an issue as well.
That's an issue. All right. Well, I know you're going to get back to stuff, and before we close our discussion, publicly, congratulations again.
Thank you.
A very, very, very honored, perspective for us to be able to share in your celebration. Would you want to take a quick minute, Ms. Robinson, for quick closing final thoughts, again, as well as Ms. Scott?
We're just really grateful for this amazing opportunity. We're thankful for our parents, obviously. Yes. People who nominated us, those special Mr. Jamo, those special ones out in the community who really push us to do our best, and we're just very thankful.
There you go.
And my last piece is just a word of encouragement for the young Caymanians. Find your passion. Ensure that that's what you want to pursue. That's something that you will enjoy pursuing, and relentlessly pursue it. It's priceless to find your passion and get paid for it all at the same time.
Seek your call and answer it, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. And then, not only will this sort of celebration and this moment won't just be the first of many great things that lie ahead, without any added pressure. Let it just be a launching pad, and let greatness, follow you as you lift yourselves, but seek to lift up others as well.
Yes.
All right.
Most definitely. Thank you so much for having us.
It's an honor.
It's an honor.
I honestly really appreciate this opportunity to showcase young people. We're going to pause and take a break. And that political uproar that was coming, maybe it's after. I don't know. Depends on you guys who are listening. Share with us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Are you aware of the performance of your pension plan? The Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan provides quarterly fund fact sheets for our members to stay informed with the plan's performance. For the year ended August 31st, various life cycle funds provided returns between 9.2% and 16.5%, and our all-in expense ratio is currently the lowest it's ever been, a record low at 0.72%. Visit chamberpension.ky to review our fund fact sheets. You can see the performance as far back as 10 years. Remember that pensions are a longer-term investment strategy. Focus on the long term rather than the short-term returns. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan continues to perform for you.
Does 2020 have you thinking about making some changes in your life? Maybe you're considering a new job or career, or going back to school, taking a short course, perhaps starting your own business. Skills for Life can help. Skills for Life is a government initiative that highlights various training and learning opportunities available for Caymanians to retool, upskill, advance, and access what you need to succeed in the workplace. Want more information? Visit our website, gov.ky/Skills for Life today.
Country classics.
One night of love don't make up for 6 nights alone.
No one could steer me right, but Mama tried. Mama tried. You're cheating hard. You load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. I'm a honky-tonk man.
Country classics.
She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good time tonight. On a Sunday morning sidewalk.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
I'm so lonesome I could cry. I'd love to wake up in your arms tomorrow, but I'm so afraid of losing you again.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Country classics.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks again for joining us as we always feel privileged and honored to be in a position to help facilitate, to be able to encourage, nurture, and inspire. So if you're looking at, your calendar for today and say, man, I can't remember what Miss Susan said to me earlier. What, today's the 21st day? In the 24th. Well, how'd that go, Miss Susan? She may be telling us in a minute. We'll find it in a second. There are people, who perhaps reflect on things and quickly recall, past experiences. People who may, be in a position that as they're thinking about something, you see how insightful they become. And then there are those of us who really, don't put any thought into anything that we do. And maybe it's just a luck of the draw for some that nothing worse befalls them. And then there are those who are very deliberate, very calculating, making sure that whatever risks that lie ahead, they found, factors to mitigate negative consequences. And yet, despite all the planning and preparation and all of the other resources that they may have committed, they don't seem to enjoy that expected success. But isn't it good to know that, what it is your parents used to tell us, nothing beats a try but a failure? So never give up, never lose hope, never lose perspective. And maybe when you give, you do so willingly. You don't feel that you've been, beaten to submission. You don't feel that you have to sort of, toe the line just in order to remain, in favor. Well, maybe that's all changing. Where are you today? What's on your mind? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. If you're listening, you haven't called before, do so now, because we want to get a perspective from you. It doesn't necessarily have to be political, but all things are political. You go to church, there's politics. You're in a PTA, it's politics. Even in your office, in your house, it's politics. There's so much going on in the world that is political in every sense. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Or you can, share your thoughts with us on the WhatsApp at 925-3261. Now, could I get Miss Susan to read it first? Today is the 21st day of the 21st year of the 21st century. Well, we'll see. Thanks, for sharing that. For some of us, we don't really pay particular attention to too much other than, that thing that is before us that affects our bread and butter. For others, we spend so much time in deep thought that we perhaps become paralyzed by all the analysis we do. Perhaps we become fearful of venturing out because of what it may be. But, nothing venture, nothing gain, right? 1-800-534-8255 or 949-8037. If you can't access the toll-free line, by all means, call us up on the other one. Or you might just say, 10 digits, 9 digits, 7 digits. Well, make it easy for yourself. Put us on speed dial and you just got one to press. You can also use the request line at 949-6990 because for whatever reason, sometimes it's difficult to get through on all of the other avenues that we have available to you. Now, as I've had the chance, and I honestly appreciate that there's much unfolding in our country that is probably, not planned, or it may be, but is unknown, to most of us. It may be that, and I would submit that it's probably a great reason why it is, that because of the prayers of our forefathers, that despite our own failures and shortcomings, deliberate missteps and miscalculations, we haven't, experienced our just desserts. So we got to be, for those who are called to subscribe to a sense of faith and through prayer and petition and supplication, make sure that, we give thanks. Now, equally, when we look at our future and we see our young people, from their academic success to their willingness to want to be a part of the Cayman landscape, to share in what is seemingly the Cayman miracle, should that not, accrue to all of us and not just to some? And if it is only that a few, a select few that are seemingly benefiting more than others, how sustainable do you think that will, how long will it last before there is growing discord? It doesn't have to be. There are those who have subscribed always that, with progress you're going to see increased crime and they list out a lot of negative things. But by definition, can that even equate to progress? Is the progress intended to be something better? You're improving. You can't, progress to something if you're going backwards. And if you have progress in terms of improving the lives of people as measured by their health and quality of life, their wellness and well-being, and their, financial wealth, their abilities to exercise the freedom of conscience and thought and decision and movement and assembly and all of these things that we see written somewhere as, indicating human rights. But if their quality of life is compromised, if our freedoms are jeopardized, and if our people are feeling marginalized, and if their employment opportunities, right, are becoming almost non-existent, if they're sense that, we better not say anything because, and they list out all of these possible negative outcomes, is that progress? 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. If you have, particular thought or comment, maybe you want to go contrary to what is being, played. If you want to highlight and champion, go right ahead. The greatest thing I think that we can do is to share with others, in a loving, kind way, of our knowledge, of our time, talent, and treasure. But equally, standing our ground and with a great sense of conviction, ensuring that we champion that thing which we're convinced is the best thing. Now, it may mean that it's wrong, and as I say, only a fool is not willing to learn from his folly. But it may mean that if you don't sit out there, you don't realize how, salient the point, or how, sinister or ill-advised. Keeping it to yourself sometimes really, doesn't do anybody any good, and worse, it's a great disservice to your own spirit, soul, and well-being. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, and share your thoughts with us. And remember now, a lot of interesting things are happening. First and foremost, the celebration of our national heroes gets underway in the BRAC on Saturday, returns to Grand Cayman for Sunday, and then again on Monday, as we sort of take the opportunity that has been carved to present the celebration in a way that may be appropriate for the times. The unveiling of the billboards tomorrow for the two in the BRAC as part of the Proud of Them is another great way to celebrate. The Family Fun Day on Sunday at the Botanic Park in collaboration with the Garden Club. Another good way for families to come together to appreciate that there's much. We are very aware of so many things that happen, and we want to find out about them after the fact. Maybe some of you may have wanted to attend, or would have liked to at least know about it so you could tell someone. Now, we also know that there are many things that could occur, but they don't, because they don't have the support, the participation of those of us that could make a meaningful difference. So as we go to our news break and we come back for the remaining half hour open line, I want you to share your thoughts with us. Call your friend up and say, you know what, you got a good opinion about something, you should go ahead and call. You could say it a different way, and that might inspire them too, but you choose the words. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Follow Radio K-Man on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio K-Man.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. 2020 Vision Lockdown Experiences from the Cayman Islands is a new online exhibition by the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands. Developed in collaboration with the Cayman Islands government, COVID-19 Commemorative Project, it seeks to explore our community's diverse experiences of lockdown. The online exhibition can be viewed on nationalgallery.org.ky. In international news, President Joe Biden is set to sign 10 executive orders to boost the fight against COVID, which has ravaged the U.S. Vaccination will be accelerated and testing increased. Emergency legislation will be used to increase production of essentials like masks. Members of an alleged baby harvesting and child trafficking syndicate have been arrested in Ghana. It follows a sting operation where 2 babies were sold to investigators for about $5,000 and $4,800 each. The 11 suspects include 2 doctors, 4 nurses, 2 mothers, 2 social welfare officers, and a traditional birth attendant. Authorities believe some of the mothers may have been told their babies had died after delivery. A star-studded concert has marked the beginning of Joseph Biden's presidency, with performances from Foo Fighters, Katy Perry, Demi Lovato, and Bon Jovi. The theme of the concert was not celebration, but unity, with tributes paid to the frontline workers who have borne the brunt of the COVID pandemic. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
your voice, your choice, your radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us. It's open line here on Talk Today. I know it doesn't feel like Thursday, does it? Well, look at the bright side. If it's Thursday, that means tomorrow is not Thursday. And given that we are in this time of January, it would mean that Monday coming is a public holiday. And as you sort of step away from work, if you are in the traditional working sector where tomorrow, like the banks for instance, the government offices and the like, you are not required to attend work formally, we do recognize that many will, despite it being a public holiday. There are many, because of their jobs, will in fact have to go to work and attend to the needs of their clients. And then there are those who work here, whose clientele customers are here, those in the hospitality sector, those in healthcare and the like, and they themselves will be at work. So as we participate in celebrations, recognize that we have the day off, maybe we're fishing, maybe we're in the garden, maybe we are in attendance at the ceremonies, appreciate that we're celebrating our people, we find a way to give thanks, and we're appreciating that we too have to lift up each other and be our brother's keeper, as it is. Now, Sunday, at Pedro, if you want to brag, it's on Saturday. Monday, it's in Hero Square in the town. Saturday will give us a chance to celebrate the contributions of those from the Sister Islands, the Eastern Districts at Pedro, 4 p.m. on Sunday, and then West Bay and Georgetown on Monday. Now, we still have presumably restrictions and limitations on the gathering, and I believe it's up to a limit of 500. So that would be part and parcel of the justification. Huh? Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello, fellas. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, good morning. The weather cool. Sunny day. Rambo.
Not true, Rambo. Good to hear from you.
Different day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got a pass recently. But the Trump administration, right? You recall the trade deal in China, right? That was a fiasco, right? And I predicted that when Biden administration come in place, China will obviously become superpower. But Biden and China, they kind of feel did. Also with the EU. Okay? So the whole scenario with the land trade, with Boris Johnson and Trump, that's out of the question. Right? Obviously, for last year. So no point in it now. It came on now. And the cruise ship industry is soon resort again now. Down the line. Soon.
You think so?
Yeah. Jamaica, I mean March, Jamaica come to play in the cruise ship.
Do you think it'll be the same as before in terms of, large, those mega ships, or do you think, how do you think it's going to play out?
Right now, I'm not sure right now. I'm not sure because, like in the past now, right, most of the cruise ship passengers either retired or college students.
Okay.
So I know how that play out. Now, what we're talking about now with the Herb thing.
Yeah, man.
Right?
And I got a question for you afterwards too, right?
We need to revolt the idea with the Herb thing. Right? My uncle Elvis in the NA, especially him, he on that case and I support him with that too.
Yeah.
Because it came on now, Sterling came on now, the different demographics of people doing it. Living that, how the drugs, how the alcoholics. You hear about that? You know what I'm from?
Yeah. So, it seems though from what you shared that in some places, and probably from the little whispers you hear now and again, even in the Cayman context, that recreational drug use, for one of a misnomer if there's any, you have people, these designer drugs, ecstasy, whatever else they are, freely being able to acquire them when they're out and about at their festivities, all right? And they consume them with, whether an alcohol or non-alcohol based drink. But yet, smoking a cigarette or lighting up a ganja spliff or whatever it's called is still taboo. How do you, should we make it all illegal, or should we just throw the boards right open and say, free for all?
So then, like last I called you, right? The Democrats recently, right? They decriminalize Delaware, right? It's Delaware and it's but June, November, right? Decriminalize narcotics. So that's the way going now.
Do you think?
Came on scenario, I see the herbs right now.
Yeah.
The herbs, that's it.
Yeah.
And over Portugal legalized to the max.
Right.
It up to the user if you want to help.
But let me engage you if I may, right? And bear in mind what I just said, that seemingly that you can go to some places in this country, with your drink or with your meal, you can order up some, I used the phrase designer drug, the drug of choice. Seems to be freely available if you know where and who and whichever, right? Presumably. So those things are illegal. The cocaine, the heroin, and all the other drugs that people used to do or still do. These ones are now packaged nicely and prepped in a certain way and then presented even better, right? Is there any concern that if we were to legalize, decriminalize, or however we phrase it, the ganja, that would increase its use, and especially among our young people?
So first of all, all right, people say about this gateway drug and thing. First of all, without legalized, the sale of alcohol and establishment would decline.
You think so?
That's my opinion, right? So establishment, right, it would decline. Also tobacco too.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. And so let me cover stuff. It was the state of Oregon that they decriminalized narcotics.
Yeah.
In November,
okay.
Right? That boosted the Democrats. But so like I said again, a lot of narcotics, right, in the counter, right, pharmaceutical drugs people use now in Cayman, right? But they don't worry about that. And that's lethal now. Because narcotics lethal, that's why you're sleeping now. Right, that's a scenario. But
right.
Her thing, you're discriminating it. Like a rock fire thing and this and that. Then these go on selling.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, the tourism industry opened up. And most of these tourists, retired, all the students, the users, and it came on, now it comes like a free state for the draw. Come on, you got to bend that, man. So I catch you.
Yeah, man.
Next time, all right?
Next time. All right. You know, I always appreciate each and every one of you, and especially when you take time, not just to call, but the many of you who will take time of your day and listen. And all right, it's great to hear your calls so that others can hear your opinions. But your contributions are fair, are invaluable, and I appreciate it. The gentleman just then, you know, very insightful. You know, he's championing his cause, and he's willing to defend his perspective. Let's go to the phones, though, and take this next caller. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Mr. Dwayne.
Hey, bro. How you doing today, man?
All right, man. All right.
Good to hear from you as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just want to be Rambo.
Yeah, man. Good tag team.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. He always knows, man. He always knows.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and what he's saying is, if you legalize this, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens is it get boring afterwards. You understand? It get boring after. So when you see it like that, you know, everybody kind of learn about it. Kind of be like, oh well, I don't want it more.
So
you know what I mean?
Should there be then? Well, no. Actually, before I ask it that way, do you think that in our society, do we do sufficiently good enough job at education relative to drugs? So whether it's the drug is tobacco, whether it's alcohol, irrespective of the drug, whether it's legal or illegal, whether it can only be consumed at a certain age and beyond, that we tell people, listen, you know, this is a drug. I've always said to people, why we say drugs and alcohol? Alcohol is a drug. Just say drugs and include alcohol. So in our school education, in our parents, in our communities, do we let people know the consequences, the impact, financial, biological, and otherwise, of drug use?
No.
Okay.
No. They tell you drugs is bad.
That's it.
All drugs is bad. But
Okay.
then when you gotta go to the doctor and the doctor gotta give you drugs, and you ask the doctor what kind of drugs he give you, he say, "Oh, this perfect." Then you get sick more of the drugs, and you wonder what happened.
So then, if we are not, based on what you just shared, right? Your view is, if I heard you correctly, after a while people get bored and the consumption may decrease, right?
Yeah.
Do we now need to have a very robust education campaign on all the drugs? And even if we were ever to consider, you know, making the personal use of, you know, tobacco or ganja or alcohol, you know, legal, that people understand, you know, this is how it plays out.
Yeah. I think more importantly too, before since they want to be democratically or intellectual with everything, we should have a debate and see what happens. You understand?
Yeah.
And based you see the problem with it, Mr. Dream.
Yeah.
The terms on how it was made illegal. This is the part that I can't get through to the voters,
right,
and to the politics. The thing was made illegal based on racism. So if you're such a church-fearing country, God-fearing country, where you follow racist-made laws, why you preach to me that something is bad when you were such a bold and influential racist upon the community? Why I have to question you since you such a thing? Is it do as I say, not as I do? What is it?
But as you speak to that, I mean, we look at the historical context, and so much of our laws and policies, business practices even, are probably predicated on that level of bias, racism, prejudice, discrimination, and the like. If we can't undo history, what is it now that we can do going forward to make the future better?
What it is, you have to forgive.
You
have to forgive, and you have to let go. Let go and move forward. Because if we hold on to the past, this is what they're doing. By them holding on with it illegal, they're actually holding on to their, you know, they function in life. They passion in life, which is staying in control.
Right. So then, if I could ask you then, again, it's just just a thought process, right? The use of words, whether we call it ganja, cannabis, marijuana, or whatever, is it that in the Cayman context, and it may not be, but the question is it that in the Cayman context, we will look at some people smoking a ganja cigarette, is that the proper term, right? And we will quickly castigate them, arrest them, and deal with them in a certain way, but there may be a suspicion that other people are doing it and we don't bother them. Is that what may be happening in our society?
Why, it's clear and it's definitely true. That's exactly what you're saying. And
so it's kind of like the people that we used to allege would be at certain bars, on certain evenings, stumbling into the cars, driving home drunk, but others, who didn't have anything to drink and were being asked for breathalyzer, allegedly.
Yeah, have to go. The ones that from here or around here have to go in jail. And the ones I remember one friend I had, the police stormed his condo or something, and they found one little drawer, but they found the money that he was saving. They put the weed and the drawer together, saying that he was making money off the weed. Took the weed, took the money, sent him home within 48 hours. Nothing more to the case.
Yeah. Well,
if that was me, or if that was you, we have to go court, we have to go jail, and we lose the $10,000. And plus, when it comes to your credibility in a court, you have nothing. The police and the judge, and the lawyers, you have to go through before your word is actually credible.
But then
the police can make all the mistakes they want. But yes, sir. What are you saying?
Sorry, no. As I listen to you and reflecting on perhaps, well, as I infer from the conversation with those two young, intelligent guests we had on earlier, recognizing that we are not being inclusive in our discussion, we're not being honest in our conversation, and we're not being deliberate, and with compunction about what is it that we should be presenting. Is it then that we lack leadership, courage, and the like to do the right thing? Whether it's about a public discussion of making the use legal or decriminalized or whatever it is, because seemingly there's a difference, not semantics, or it's about being more forceful in enforcement and saying, wait a minute, you can't do this just because it's you. This is illegal and this is the consequence. Is that part of the challenge equally? People have seen it and go, well, kisses go with favors, This one can do it with impunity, but this one better than even have that thought because they're going to get a book thrown at them.
Yeah, but that part of where people looking for a leader, all they got to do is look in the mirror. When it comes to these kind of injustices, you got to make sure that when it comes to them three decisions you got to make, whether it's a personal, a political, or a moral decision, you got to make sure that your moral decisions, understand, go forward with your personal decisions because...
Yeah. But then is that the challenge then as people, we lack conviction? We don't know who we are because perhaps we've been unwilling to look in the mirror and examine that reflection that we see.
Yes, and one more, and what is spiritual things behind this so-called drugs is that it does make you realize who you are. It does, because back to where it was made illegal, the basis, it said it make black people look white people in the eye. But this is what, because in those days, those southern times, when you were walking across a white person on the road, you had to look down. You had to make sure your eyes stayed to the ground. Now, when you was high or when you was smoking this thing, you had no fear of them. You looked them straight in the eye and crossed them. You understand?
But is there a risk then, right, and this whole thing, that without proper consideration, we could be, as potentially a great and a medical benefit may come, could be potential to be putting our people in harm's way if we don't do it properly. Hey, my friend, I enjoy talking to you, but today is only Thursday and I would like to see tomorrow. Susan got a switch in the hand. Let me leave it there now for now and we can chat again tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right, blessings to you. All right, quick break. When I come back, I see the stick, no card. Let's see what happens. Stay tuned.
King Sports Center takes pride in being more than just an ordinary gymnasium. For 14 years, their multi-purpose facility has been providing the community with a variety of sporting, recreational, and relaxation activities. King Sports Center has a bowling alley, lounge bar, multi-purpose rooms, powerhouse gym, rock climbing wall, bungee jumping, a 10,000 square foot rink, and so much more. For more information on their variety of services, call their friendly staff today at 946-5464 or email kings@candw.ky or visit www.kingsportscenter.com. King Sports Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
The pressures of living, managing under adverse financial circumstances, trying to make ends meet by the minute, by the hour, by the day, sorting out matters for today, bills that come due, feeding the family. So much pressure in one place at one time. Step away from it all. Time to recharge, to renew, to refresh. Time to break away. Catch your breath. Make your way to a place of peace, wellness, nature. Reconnect with the Queen Elizabeth Botanical Park in Franksound. The wind, the birds, the orchids, the blue iguanas. Wellness, renewal, mental peppermint. The Botanical Park, supported by Rotary Central Community Service. Rotary opens opportunity.
The public is invited to celebrate the 2021 National Heroes Day, recognizing our seafaring heritage and the men and women who contributed to the foundation of the Cayman Islands. This year will also see the unveiling of the busts of 3 national heroes and present the inaugural recipients of the Order of the Cayman Islands. To safely celebrate this National Heroes Day, there will be 3 events for the Cayman Brac and Little Cayman recipients on Saturday, 23rd January at 1 p.m. for the Bordentown North Side and East End recipients on Sunday, 24th January at 4 p.m. and for the Georgetown and West Bay recipients on Monday, 25th January at 9 a.m. All of the festivities will be carried live on CIGTV and Radio Cayman. For your safety and due to gathering restrictions, the public is strongly urged to tune in via CIGTV or Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back and thanks for joining us. Got a few minutes left in the program according to the clock on the wall. To the boss in the other end of the table. Hey, we're going to talk until you say otherwise. 949-8037-1-800-534-8255. You ever wake up some days with a great sense of anticipation, expectation, or hope, and a jubilant sort of glee in your step? Well, the day goes as we expect, as we would desire. Every day gets good. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon, welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you today?
Fine. Just a little bit of opinion. I think it's necessary when people call in that they state that this is their opinion, not seem to be pontificating, making decisions that I think everyone should be aligned with their philosophy. So I heard earlier on when someone called in.
Yes, sir.
Talked about removing all the government members and all the elected representatives, removed and stuff like that. If someone went and lived in that person's country, he said such a thing. Think of what would happen to them.
as I listen to you, though, could I
think
also...
of what will happen to them.
Could I also ask, though, I mean, as I listen to you, the notion that there are people who may not necessarily have yet attained the right to vote in our country will share publicly. But what about those people who seemingly, allegedly, are able to influence the political outcomes, and yet we don't know or hear anything from them publicly? Which one, if any, is worse?
No, I don't make judgments who is worse or what.
But
the point I'm trying to make is this: we have certain codes. We live by certain within certain parameters.
Mm-hmm.
This is a British Crown colony. Her Majesty's government in the Cayman Islands, and our elected members of Parliament are our political representatives that run the country within those certain parameters set out. As long as we remain a British Crown territory, Crown colony, that is what obtains. And we must understand this. And those who are trying to run for election or putting themselves up or whatever, it's very necessary that they understand this. I hear people talking all the while as if this is an independent country. And when some of the persons who have been elected, after a couple of years, you hear them saying, I'm so glad that there are the older ones here that were able to show us just how things really go and what guidelines we operate on and so forth. It's a very different thing to get there and how things are done. It's not done the way they might seem. I think, and I've always maintained this, that our elected representatives and those who might be hopefuls or whatever, that when they get on the platform to talk, or their campaign platforms, they say that we must always remember these things and keep it in home and know that we are a British Crown territory and not. And I don't see us changing that in the near future at all. Because we have to remember we're 138 different nationalities, I believe, living here. So it makes a huge difference for the country to look for a guideline for that, for our side.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about the drugs and all that, there's Valium, there's lots of things that people take daily that are drugs, aspirin, coffee, caffeine. I mean, we have certain codes and of conduct in society, and it will always be that way. We could educate ourselves till the cows come home. The thing, humans, we have to realize you have to live by certain codes. You have to understand certain guidelines are put in place that people in a more or less a peaceful, orderly type of way. Order has to be maintained, and decisions will have to be made by elected people that whether or not they change certain things incrementally or you change certain things. Certain things may change, as we hear the call for what the young man was saying and all that. They may say, well, okay, they may take the ganja or the marijuana or the cannabis, whatever they choose to call it, and make it something like cigarettes and put it on the shelves in certain stores, like a liquor store. And then it is controlled in the same way. Taxes are paid on it, and you have to be over the age of 18 and so forth and so on to get it. And it's controlled, and the government makes a tax. Maybe that might be a way that they may consider. It might be more or less, I guess, done by a referendum. It might be done by the elected representatives going around to their constituencies and having talks with the people and gather the opinions from them or so forth. But, we can't just rush headlong willy-nilly into things to change everything. That somebody's idea, maybe I should be able to do this and I should be able to do that, and the next person will say, that's not the way to run how society has to be run to get an orderly people, an orderly country, and whatever you are. So that's just an accepted way we could educate people to, as I said, the cows come home. It's not going to change that basic philosophy. That's the way. There are certain codes, there are certain things in place, and it doesn't matter talking about that's old time and that's new time and this is modern and the future and the 2021 and in the future. That's not going to change. Certain things remain. There are certain things that remain, that fundamental identities, as they say in mathematics. It'll always remain that way. There will be changes in society as we go along. They'll make strict little adjustments to laws, but basically things will remain how they were for quite a while longer. And we just have to accept these things and live by it and live within those parameters. People have done it all the while, the majority of people do, and that's just the way I look at life. You have to be a realist. But thank you for giving me the time.
You're most welcome, sir.
I beg of people not to come to the country or territory and think that they know more than we do and that we should do things that way and we should jump up and change everybody in the government because that person so thinks that they are the judge of the all and all and so forth. And it's something they could not do in their own country. And if one visited or went to that country and tried to do that, you'd be in for a lot of trouble.
Well, I really appreciate you having the courage, the conviction, and hopefully through what you share inspires others to likewise avail ourselves of the opportunity to contribute. This is a beautiful, blessed place, and I think it only gets better when we draw alongside each other to build greater strength in our community, to foster a stronger sense of unity, and recognize that if it's not through our actions, deliberate, concerted, positive actions, we really can expect things to get any better. Now, yesterday was the deadline for you to have registered to vote if you were eligible. Looking forward to the revised list. I've heard preliminary numbers as to who is and who isn't and what have you. And as the candidates sort of announce themselves as it is, well, we're going to provide a platform to have that discussion. There's a lot of deception, deceit, just like in church and politics and everywhere. The question is, are we going to be discerning, and are we going to be truly, empowered, informed, and engaged, and recognize again, to whom much is given, much is required. It doesn't necessarily have to be words from the scriptures. It could just be, very poignant way to live by. So your time, your talent, your treasure, whether it's your knowledge, experience, expertise, skills, big bank account, strong hands, a loving heart, you have something to give it lovingly, willingly, graciously, with intent to improve the lives of others. Sometimes, those hands might have to be to wrap around somebody and refrain them from not only hurting others, but themselves as well. Listen, you never discipline anger, but you never, refrain from offering up some discipline and some instruction. Tomorrow, honored to be able to have the excellent company of Mr. Loxell Banks as part of the Talk Today CI Retro Series. We heard about it a bit yesterday. It's fitting that we celebrate, our seafarers, and tomorrow's production, we want you to be a part of it. God's willing, we'll be back here, hopefully, in the land of the living, to share and to celebrate. Until then, be blessed.
Keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Let's read the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio